Welcome to Denver, everybody, for round number 22 of the 1-Up Nitro National Series schedule. We're closing in on the end of the season, so everything is up for grabs at this point in the season. Today, we're taking on the 3.7-mile Denver Motorsports Park road course for 20 laps of high-intensity action. We've got a lot of fast corners and a technical infield section for all 40 drivers to navigate, and I'm sure it'll provide us plenty of thrills throughout every long lap of this one. Alongside me in the booth today, as always, is Duke Anzac. We got a lot of different parts of this racetrack. We got a fast outer section on the oval, then a technical section in the infield, followed by a final chicane on the front stretch. There's a lot of passing opportunities to be had, but where do you feel like is the best one for these 40 drivers to get a move on here?
Oh, there's so many places to do it, and it's such a technical track. It's so interesting to watch these drivers race around here. But to answer your question with the biggest place on passing, just sitting here looking at the track map, I really do think it's going to be setting up a pass coming out of the turn 11, and then going through 12 and 13, which is coming out of the infield section back onto the oval on the backstretch. I think that's going to be a key passing zone because you're able to set up your move in turn 11, cut down low, and try to sneak underneath, going into the long area where you're just building up speed going through Speedway 3 and 4. So that's going to be a place to watch, but there's so many other places where there's going to be a ton of action here at Denver. What a beautiful racetrack we've got in store for us today.
With our passing opportunities being the end of the back straightaway into turn 3 and into the front stretch chicane of turn 16, those are also places where we should see plenty of intense action, especially at the beginning of the race. Looking at the starting lineup now, we see some familiar faces at the front of the field. Alex Verget-Peru gets another pole position this season, and he's got Sam Donetto alongside him, the two protagonists of the regular season. They've kind of had a disappointing playoffs, but they've redeemed themselves quite nicely here, starting on the front row together. And behind them is Dylan Young, Mark Davey, Nikki Martinez, the only ever winner on a Roval type configuration. She won at Charlotte's Roval in the Superstar Series last year, so expect her to be a contender. Ryan Caggiano's always a threat. And Keon Daly, the points leader, has a 14-point lead over his teammate Caggiano. He starts from the 10th position. With that being said, any other names that I didn't mention you expect to see challenge, or are we going to see our winner come from those top 10 spots?
It's really hard to make an argument for people who are that far behind. Just because it's a road course, it's narrow in a lot of those passing zones you mentioned. So I wouldn't expect somebody to really drive up through the field unless they're really fast. But you're going to have to watch out for strategy today. It's going to be really fascinating to see when people pit, if they're able to make it halfway, if you choose one or two pit stops today. So it's kind of going to be up to the crew chiefs a little bit. So the winner might come from anywhere in this pack of cars. It just depends on the strategy and how fast you are.
And with that being said, the cars are lined up on the grid, and we're ready to bring you 20 laps of action from the Denver road course. This is the 1-Up Nitro National Series from Denver Motorsports Park, and the green flag is next. With the field rolling through turns 14 and 15, heading into the front stretch chicane, the pace car is ready to make the hard left turn on the pit road into that chicane, and as the field gets ready to come to the green flag, we ask you join us for a lap of silence in memory of Ryan Darnell. The green flag is in the flagman's hand, the field approaches the APT restart zone, and we are underway here at the Denver Motorsports Park. So after a very long yet heart-pounding lap to begin this race at the Denver road course, we saw 4 wide racing through turns 1 and 2, and then we saw it single file out down into the infield section. But already Alex Verstappen has a very healthy lead over Sam Denotto, and I imagine this race is only just getting started as far as the intensity is concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there was some craziness on that restart where they were going 4 wide all on the apron. It looked like a pack, like they were about to race on the oval, but then they all had to funnel down into turn 3. So now they're coming through this infield section where it's a lot more difficult than just racing on the oval. You know, it's technical. It's a lot of braking. It's a lot of making sure your car is staying underneath you. You know, it's a lot of craziness here, but it looks like this 3 car is starting to build a significant lead. I love that little section right there. It's such a high speed downhill part of the track. That's a ton of fun to watch these guys go through. It looks like there were some skid marks on the track there. Maybe somebody has had a little bit of an issue, but man, what a great track this is just to watch drivers go around here. And the 3 car so far is making it his own, and he's pulling away.
Could we see another situation like at Valkenburg a few months ago where Alex led all 25 laps of that race en route to a victory? It was still yet to be seen. We've only completed 2 laps so far. But right now he's enjoying a comfortable lead, heading into turn 14 right now with a healthy gap over his rival Sam Denotto, and an even healthier gap over third place Nicky Martinez, who jumped up 2 spots on the opening lap as they dive into turn 16, this front stretch chicane, through 17 and 18. And coming out of turn 18 now, Alex Verstappen has a comfortable lead, but that can all change in a matter of moments here as we look back. How about a couple of good runs? This is the closest battle on track right now. Jared Jackson in 8th position, being hounded by his future team owner, Jared Polansky in the 18. They're going at it for the 8th position on the racetrack. These guys have a healthy competitive nature, and you can see Polansky dive almost onto the apron of the racetrack to make that move stick.
Yeah, there's enough straightaway or area where you can draft on the front stretch. You can catch up to that guy and kind of make a move, almost like you're at Indianapolis on the straightaway or something. You know, a long area where you're able to draft and make a move into that turn. And then he set himself up. Jared Polansky did for a move into turn 3, and he got the track position, the side of the track he wanted to be on, and he took the spot away from the 23. So that was a textbook pass here at Denver.
But Jackson has the inside line heading through turn 6, headed down towards the S's of 7, 8, and 9. We'll see if Jackson can make a lunge here. He's too far back to do that properly, and he will settle into the 9th position on the racetrack right now, just ahead of Jake McMillan in the 21. A solid effort from that cell phone team. McMillan's doing a great job there. And going back up to the front of the field, Sam Denotto is actually closing in, and it looks like we're taking a look at the back end of the field to see if everybody made it through the first lap. It looks like they did, potentially. Yeah. We'll take a look. And I did notice those skids as well on the racetrack, and it looks like, and there were 2 cars involved in the coming together. Santiago Alvarez in the 98, and unfortunately, Zachary Bilson in the 02 making just his 2nd series start. He is involved in an incident as well here in the early laps at Denver Motorsports Park. Both cars done for the day. But we do not have full course yellows on the road courses for obvious reasons. But we'll get you a replay of what happened as soon as we're done with this battle for the lead, because it is intensifying at the front of the field.
Yeah, Sam Denotto is caught up, and he's going to be in a situation here where he's able to draft down this big, long front straightaway, and he's going to make a move going into Speedway Turn 1. Let's see if he's able to hold it down there. He's going to use that apron to help his car turn. Just gets right underneath. There's nothing the 3 car can do at this point except for stay behind. Maybe he's able to make a move going into turn 3. He's going to cross back over. He thinks better of it. Just stays behind that 00 car. And going to try again for another corner. Oh, it looked like the 3 straightened out there a little bit. Maybe struggling with entry grip, that 3 car is right now, because the 00 is driving away from him now. So we'll see how this progresses throughout the race, because of course there is a little bit of a strategy element today, where if you can make it to halfway, you could do a 1-stop strategy, but probably not everybody's going to do that. You might see a 2-stop strategy. We'll see which is faster, and maybe the 3 car saving a little bit of his stuff to try to make it to halfway.
So this is where Zachary Bilson was running. He was running about where he started in the high teens, low 20s, racing Audrey Anczak in the 83, and you can see Santiago Alvarez right behind him as they head down into the S's right here. It's a tough. This is on lap 1, of course. It's a tough place to go through side by side, but it looks like they're going to make it work. Is Alvarez going to try and take a look underneath? And I think Peter Anczak might. Oh, and they all come together.
No.
And Bilson. Oh my goodness me!
My gosh!
Oh, he inverted almost into that inside wall. A severe impact for Zachary Bilson in that 0-2. We certainly hope he's all right. So both cars, of course, done for the day here.
Wow.
At Denver, but. Holy, that was an incredible impact at a very high rate of speed as well. This is going to be a wild ride on board with Zachary Bilson. Just gets clipped by the 98 and the 70, and he just hits a really bad spot in the wall. And just like that, before his race could even get started, it's over in a flash at Denver Motorsports Park. Our main concern is that the driver of the 0-2 is, of course, okay. We'll get reports on that as the race progresses. But right now, back to the racing action at hand. We're about a quarter of the way through this race already. With Sam Denotto enjoying a comfortable lead, Alex Verget-Berube holds the fastest lap of the race. But Denotto, despite that massive incident involving his fellow Toyota driver, Zachary Bilson, Sam Denotto is enjoying a comfortable lead. He's very good on the road courses. He almost won Sonoma. Now that we bring it up a while back, and he did win at Watkins Glen earlier this season. So Sam Denotto is very proficient on these road courses, as is Alex Verget-Berube and Nicky Martinez, and throw in Mark Davey for good measure in the 38 back in 5th. He's won 2 of these already this season. He won at Sonoma, and he won at Indianapolis. So the Australian certainly knows how to get his way through the lefts and rights here at Denver.
Yeah, for sure. You know, a lot of stellar road course racers up front of this field here, and Sam Denotto, no stranger to leading during this season. Of course, a lot of the time it's been in the regular season. The playoffs have not served Sam Denotto nor the 3-car of Alex Verget-Berube well. Neither of them have really been in contention. Of course, Sam Denotto is only 41 points back, but still, it seems like there's a lot that could have been made up. And then, of course, the 3-car is 57 points behind the current points leader right now. So these two are really looking to have good runs, and they are right now. So they're able to race each other here. And I thought that maybe Alex would be able to get a bigger draft down the straightaway. I wonder if he's just kind of hanging in right now, not really wanting to fight Sam Denotto all that much. He went a little bit straight through that corner again. I wonder if his car is still struggling with entry grip, I think. But you know, it's an interesting race here, because it's not exactly high action, high intensity, always trying to go to the front right now. It's a lot of just like holding on and making sure you're there at the end to try to see if you can be close to the leader and maybe put together a couple good laps at the end of this race to maybe make a move for the win.
Through the kink heading towards turn 10. And Alex Verget-Berube is about half a second behind right now. But he does seem to ebb and flow that gap a little bit as we look back through the rest of the top 10. 2 Australians do battle for 5th position. Mark Davey in the 38, already with 2 wins this season, as does Ryan Caggiano in the 81. His 2 victories, however, came on oval tracks. So Caggiano is a very well-rounded driver. Mark Davey's starting to find his own, though, on the ovals. He's gotten the nod up to the Superstar Series full-time next year, so we're looking forward to seeing what he can do there. But he's still got 4 races left in the Nitro National Series to make an even better impression, and I'm sure he'd love nothing more than to get his 3rd road course win of the season right here at Denver.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and this is a place that can definitely be done, and his gap isn't so far that I'd think that he can't, you know, get back up there in this race. I think he definitely could. You know, let's see where he is. He's only 3 seconds back right now, which on a track that has lap times of almost 2 minutes every lap. You know, 3 seconds is not that huge of a gap. You know, it's just it's kind of right there. You know, so if you're able to set some stellar laps, gain a lot of time, definitely make some passes here, get back up to the front. I don't think anybody's out of it quite yet.
So going into the infield section once more, Mark Davey sandwiched in between Dylan Young and Ryan Caggiano. He had a little bit of understeer as well heading into turn 4. That's a very interesting spot to have a bit of understeer because you're just coming off the fastest part of the racetrack. So you might have a little bit of wheel hop coming through 3 and 4. That's going to be a big concern for these guys. They head uphill through turn 6, and they weave their way back down towards the S's, 7, 8, and 9. Mark Davey continues to perform well in the top 5. The field's starting to get strung out just a little bit, as he does battle with his countryman Ryan Caggiano for the 5th position. Davey's not interested in the playoffs. He's here for one thing and one thing only, and that's to win races. Ryan Caggiano has to play things a little bit more cautiously. He's second in the points right now, so a lot is hanging on his shoulders as we look back now at a battle of the pink cars right now between Kevin Carter in the 07, Jared Polansky in the 18, 2 Superstar Series regulars coming down to this race for a little extra seat time in preparation for their race coming up later in this weekend. But right now, they're putting on a spirited battle for the 7th position. Carter's hanging on to it for now, and both cars having very solid outings so far. We're only on lap 7.
Yeah, so speaking of the playoffs and the 81 car, Ryan Caggiano right there in second place, he is only 14 points behind the leader, and you know, that leader, Keon Daly in the 52, I do not see that car in the top 10 right now, which is really good for the 81. Lots of points being gained so far in this race. We'll see if he can hold on to that type of gain, and we're watching this 3 car now come through the high speed turns 1 and 2 of this racetrack, and you know, I was thinking about that thing that we've been seeing so many cars sliding through turn 4, and I'm wondering if it's because the high speed section right there, you have to be on the brakes so hard for turn 3. It just happened again, and then the first time you use the brakes after you brake coming off of the banking into turn 3 is turn 4. I wonder if just everybody's heating up their brakes through that section. They're not able to get enough air between turns 3 and 4. They've got hot brakes, and they just kind of slide through that corner a little bit. It doesn't seem to be hurting anyone a lot yet in this race, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on.
They weave their way through the S's, headed towards the kink on what could be considered the back straightaway here at Denver's road course, passing the site of that awful incident between Bilson and Alvarez. We of course will get word on those two, most likely after the race is concluded. But right now, it is a battle among titans here in the Nitro National Series between Sam Donotto and Alex Verjeperub, heading down into turn 12, through and into 13, coming back onto the oval, and into turn 14, where a lot of passing can take place if Alex can get a good run and into that chicane on the front straightaway.
Yeah, we'll see if he's able to get a little bit closer here. He's able to draft through Speedway 3 and 4, turns 14 and 15 on this full course here. We'll see what he's able to do, if he can gain any time through the chicane here. It looks like he's pretty close. Oh, and he went into the pits here on lap 8. A pit stop from the 3 car. That's interesting. He hasn't made it to halfway. I bet you this is going to be a 2-stop strategy from them, so we'll see what the counter is for all these drivers that have stayed on the track. It's lap 9. They've got to make it to lap 10 to be able to make it to the end of this race, so we'll see. We'll see if they're able to do that, but the 3 car has made his bed pitting here on lap 8.
And Nicky Martinez in the 25 went with him. So those are 2 cars we're going to have to keep our eye on and see if Sam Donotto has to maybe pull the trigger a bit earlier than he wanted to, with Alex Verjeperub coming into the pits immediately there on lap 8. If Sam Donotto might have to do something he doesn't want to do in this race to cover off the threat of Alex pitting before him. Heading into turn 6 once again, Sam Donotto going for the uphill right-hander of turn 6. Alex was scored in the 9th position coming across the line, but of course he was serving that in the pits, so he'll likely be much further behind than that as they head down through the S's, going down towards the kink. We've got plenty of racing still to go. We've got over half the race still, but already the strategy is starting to play its hands. We head into the bank turn 10. It's going to be interesting to see if Sam comes in this time or if he tries to hold out till lap 10.
If I were the crew chief on that 00 car, I'm saying to stay out for one more lap. I believe if you're able to stay out for one more lap on this fuel, you're going to have a 9-lap run to the finish of this race, and I think that you can make it there. And I'm not completely sure if the tire wear is enough in this race to justify having those fresher tires. We're going to have to see, but I don't think anybody can go much longer than 10 laps on a tank of fuel. So it's going to be very fascinating to see what those guys who just pitted are able to do. We'll watch to see if this 00 pits here. This is coming to the entrance. It's going to be straight on there, and he comes into the pits. So it couldn't last any longer, and it looks like, oh, Mark Davey, Jared Polansky stay out. Man, oh man. Well, you're looking at my pick to win the race right now, because this is the strategy to beat, I believe. Pitting only one time in this race, I think. Well, then of course I could be proven wrong in this, but Mark Davey, I believe that this team has made a very good strategy call so far.
And look who else is on that strategy. Zach Rogers still looking for his first win after the heartbreak at South Boston. Points leader Keon Daly is on this strategy.
Yeah.
He's looking to score some big points. There you see him at the back of the shot in the red car. But man, Mark Davey, I can't disagree with you on your pick to win this race, because Mark Davey, he's phenomenal on road courses as it is, and with potentially the best strategy on the board as well. Could Jared Polansky play spoiler? He's good on the road courses in the Superstar Series. He's yet to win a Nitro National Series race, but he's got the speed to do it, and he's got the equipment to do it. Don't count out that 18. This will be a thrilling battle for the end of this race between these two. And who knows, there could still be more cars in contention for this race win. We don't know yet. There's still half this race to go.
Yeah, for sure. You know, there's a lot that can still happen. Of course, if Keon Daly comes out of the pits and he's stuck in traffic for a while, you know, anything could happen. It'll just be fascinating to see. And I think that 18 car is gaining time on the 38 right now. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens when everybody cycles. I do expect all of these guys to pit on this lap. I'm not sure if you could make it much longer than this. If you can, then good for you, but I'm not sure if there's a reason at this point staying out 2 laps later than the first people who pitted. I think that's going to be well enough to make it on only this one stop, and hopefully for these guys make it all the way to the end and be a victor. So we'll see. I expect everybody to come into the pits here, the 38 jumping into the chicane and heading straight onto the pits, followed by the 18, and then here comes the rest of them. Zach Rogers, Keon Daly, both coming into the pits. Alexa Lutchen as well. So, yeah, everybody's coming into the pits here. This is the strategy to beat, I believe. So we'll have to see if it is and where everybody else cycles out. Here's the 27, also pitting,
and that should cycle the lead to Sam Denoda once again.
Wow.
He has a huge lead over Alex Verstappen. So pitting early did not help that 3 car one bit. In fact, he might have lost time to this 00, who is now going to assume the lead of this race. On lap number 11, you can see the cars cycling through pit road on the bottom of your screen there. But Sam Denodo currently shown in the 5th position because 4 cars ahead of him were on pit road at the moment of scoring being scored. But Sam Denodo is your effective race leader with a massive margin over Alex Verstappen. It's at least 2 seconds. And going into turn 3 once again, Denodo is going to have a very good time for a few laps, but keep in mind, these guys are all likely going to have to pit again.
Yeah, and something interesting is that Nicky Martinez had a fantastic stop, sitting there right behind the 3 car now, even making a move maybe. No, too far back. It was a weird angle on the camera shot there. But Nicky Martinez sitting there in 3rd place right now. That's a pretty good run to catch up to that 3 car. Maybe make a move, pass the 3 car, and start chasing down the 00.
Of course, this might be all for naught because we still have a pit stop to come for these guys most likely at about laps 16, 17, 18. But I give these guys credit for trying something different. Maybe it might work out for them, who knows. We don't have full course cautions on the road courses, but if, say, an accident were to come out, it could neutralize the field a little bit under a local yellow, and that could allow them to gain some time on these guys. It's still yet to be seen as we go into turn 12 once again, and they're going to be side by side for turn 13. Martinez and Alex Verstappen. These guys were 10th and 11th in the points going into this race, so they've got a lot to gain here, but they also have a lot to lose. Any slip up in their strategy, it could spell the end of their championship hopes with 4 races remaining, only 3 after today.
For sure. That was that move I was thinking about, that going through the sequence of 11, 12, and 13, coming back onto the oval, and now the 3 is coming into the pits again. Is that what I just saw? That
is what you saw, and Sam Denoto's coming with him. This is perhaps the strategy these guys were going on. Short pit on your second stint. and take on enough fuel to last the rest of the way on a single tank. That's what they're trying to do with their two-stop strategy. Interesting call, not what I would have done, but regardless, it's a very interesting call. And I think Keon Daly, even though he was on the better strategy, he came with them. So
interesting.
A wild recent few laps here has resulted in Nicky Martinez with a 9-second lead over Aaron Hall in second. But man, these strategies are all over the place, and I would hate to be on the top of the box right now calling these races. I'm glad I'm up here with you because this crew chiefing would not be my forte in any given weekend, especially on a competitive weekend like this.
My mind was just when that happened. I think that if I was sitting there driving this 25 car, I'd be thinking, man, am I doing something wrong? Because everybody around me just disappeared into the pits. So we'll have to see what Nicky Martinez's strategy is, because we believe this 25 car has to make another stop in this race. We'll see if it comes right now for maybe just a little bit of fuel, and we'll have to see how it all cycles out as they cross the line again to see where everybody's in positionally. Man, this is going to be an interesting thing to watch shake out. I mean, we're going to have to watch where the 38 is. We're going to have to watch where the 3 and the 00 are, and I can't tell you what's going to happen next in this race. This is just absolutely crazy so far.
Fascinating racing we've got going on at the Denver Road Course. We're completing lap number 12 now, and we're going to look to see if Nicky Martinez comes into the pits this time. We're going to our far shot to get a better angle of the pit entry, and it looks like she's actually going to stay out. She's going to try and maybe stretch this as long as she can. There's Mark Davey in the 38, and along with Aaron... Oh, they're going to enter side by side. Contact is being made between the Australians. Aaron Hall makes a dive for pit road as well. But Mark Davey with a textbook pass going into turn 16 on Ryan Caggiano. He will assume second place.
That was nicely done from Mark Davey right there. A good pass puts him in second place. He's 11 seconds behind that 25 car. And what that says to me is that Nicky Martinez has 11 seconds of racetrack space to save fuel. Make it to the end of this race if you're Nicky Martinez, because if you can make it to the end of this thing as the leader, you're the winner. So it's just one of those things right now that we're watching. I think that if this 25 car can make it to the end, I don't know if anybody will be able to get by that 38. We'll have to see how fast Mark Davey is catching next time by. It's hard to tell when we can't have a camera shot on the both of them at the same time. So we'll just have to watch. It doesn't really look like the 25 is slowing that much to save anything, but
one thing she could do though. One thing she could do is try and lift and coast downhill into the S's to try and save a little bit of fuel. That allows her to keep her speed up while at the same time conserving just that little bit more fuel, and doing the same thing going into turn 3 and turn 16 as well.
Yeah, this is a really interesting couple of strategies we've got here. Mark Davey, who we know or we believe can make it on fuel. He made it halfway in this race, so we're assuming that car won't have to come into the pits again, and the 25 did not make it to halfway before her first pit stop, so we'll have to see if this 25 is able to save enough fuel. And then, of course, we've got those who are behind, the 00 and the 3 car, both who have pitted again already for their second stop. 25 stays out again. I don't expect this 25 car to be back on pit road until she's out of fuel completely. That would be very surprising if the 25 stayed out or pitted before that point. You know, you got to go and try to win this thing right now. Let's see if Mark Davey is caught up at all. Yeah, about a second gained in that, but looking at the laps remaining, that's not enough time to catch up. So if the 25 was saving any fuel at all, I think that the 25 has got it in the bag with no cautions to come out. It's going to be interesting to watch here.
Yeah, this is going to be quite the barn burner here at Denver Motorsports Park, with Mark Davey diving it off into turn 3. He's got no concerns about fuel. Zach Rogers, Jared Polanski, they should be good to go on fuel as well. I'm not sure exactly when Ryan Caggiano made his pit stop, but he's right up there among the leaders. But Martinez going down out of turn 6, going down towards the S's right here. This is an important fuel saving spot. Lift and coast through that section, and you should be golden for at least a few extra laps, trying to save just enough fuel to stretch it to the end of this race. I personally, there are a lot of people who don't like this type of racing. It should go to they say the win should go to the fastest car, but in my opinion, these races are enthralling. It just shows the amount of teamwork that goes into these races. The driver, the crew chief, the pit crew all going over the wall, everybody in between. This is just the best kind of racing when everybody's working together to try and score the optimum result.
For sure, and then it even goes as far as back in the shop, the engine builders building engines that maybe don't use quite as much fuel somehow. You just kind of tune it in such a way that maybe you get a little bit of extra oomph at the end of the run, and just where you put all the bells and whistles in these race cars. I mean, there's so many factors that go into it. Maybe the 25 is getting better fuel mileage than everybody else, and they know that. They've tested. They understand how long they can go, and they've calculated this before the race has even started. A week or two in advance, everybody is thinking about the strategy for this thing. Oh, and Mark Davey has gained another second, so still not enough to catch up by the end of this race. But if the 25 runs out of fuel, Mark Davey's going to be there to win it. And if the 25 is able to stay and not run out of fuel, I think Nicky Martinez will walk away the winner of yet another Roval style course.
Yeah, she's got 9 seconds in the bag to work with. You can see her competition going across the banking at the back of your shot while she's navigating the tight turn 6. But these cars burn a lot of fuel in a lot of time, especially considering you have 3.7 miles of track to navigate each and every lap. So this is just a matter of trying to stretch your fuel out for as long as possible, using the lift and coast methods I mentioned earlier. Just do whatever you can to try and squeeze those last few drops out to make it to the end of this race. Because right now, Martinez has a very handy lead, and she can afford to lose seconds off that lead every lap. But if she runs out of fuel, it's game over.
Absolutely, and something else about this track that makes it a little bit unique in the fuel saving standpoint is if you've got a 5 or 6 second lead and you're at an oval, you can run out of fuel going into turns 3 and 4. And then kind of coast across the line, make it there before anybody's able to catch you. But here, you have a heavy braking zone coming out of those final 2 corners. So if you run out of fuel going into turn 14, which is the big speedway turn 3, you still have this braking zone to deal with. And if you... Oh no! Nicky Martinez is pitting for fuel here! And that's going to hand it to Mark Davey, I believe. My gosh. Yeah, it doesn't even matter anymore.
Martinez could not stretch the fuel enough. She pits from the lead on lap 15. We now have 5 laps to go from Denver. Mark Davey retakes the lead of this race in that number 38 Jeff Bolton Racing Ford. But he's still got 2 Hungry Kings Motorsports cars right behind him. And I don't know about Ryan Caggiano, but I do know that Jared Polanski is also good to go on fuel, and he will not waste any time trying to take this win. Look, he's already gotten past Caggiano at the back of your shot to move up in the second. This is not over by any stretch.
No, now we've got an on-track battle. So this has gone from a fuel strategy race to an all-out side-by-side race. And I was going to say that Ryan Caggiano kind of let the 18 by, maybe thinking, I'd better just get some points in this race. But no, he's going for a win just like everybody else in this top 4 that are all right here racing for the win. I mean, this has become quite the incredible thing to watch. At this point, we've got a bunch of people all within. We got 3 cars within 1 second, 4 within 2, and man, oh man, this is exciting.
At a road course, nonetheless. Who says road course racing is the most boring kind of race we have here? This is an enthralling type of race action we see here at Denver. Mark Davey continues to lead. He heads through turn number 10. Going into 11 now, Mark Davey on pace to score his 3rd road course win of the season, the 3rd win of his career, all of which have come on the left and rights of the road courses. This is incredible sort of racing going on, but I would not count out Jared Polanski at all. He's a very good road racer as well, and with about 4.5 laps to go, this is still anybody's race between these 4.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that Mark Davey right now has just got to kind of save his stuff. Don't overheat the brakes. Don't overuse your tires in the corner. Don't try to really drive super hard right now. Just kind of conserve while you're out front. And then once you do have to fight somebody, if you do have to fight somebody in this race, use your stuff then. Don't use it now trying to pull away, because you won't. Just stay there and hope nobody catches you. But if they do, you want to have some fresher rubber to be able to fight with in this race. So we'll see if that 18 is able to catch up. Man, I love how they all come flying out of Speedway Turn 2 right there, just to hit the brakes really hard and enter this infield section. Man, oh man, we'll see is anybody still kind of sliding through that corner. It looks like maybe they've all figured it out at this point. Just the early part of the race, it was pretty cold, maybe going through there, or the brakes were overheating or whatever. But right now, no worries for any of these drivers, just trying to win this race past that 38 car.
And Mark Davies enjoying a comfortable lead, but it is shrinking a little bit. Jared Polansky is putting the pressure on that 38 car, diving down into the S's with 4 laps to go. This is incredible racing from Denver Motorsports Park, and we've got 3.5 laps now between now and the finish. That is at least 15 miles of racing still to come. Can they stretch that fuel? We believe Davey, Polansky, and Rogers and these guys, we believe they're good to make it. But at the rate these guys are flying through this track, I'm not so sure anymore. These cars could run out on the final lap. And like you said, there is that heavy braking zone between the final flat-out corner and the finish of this race.
Yeah, for sure. And that final passing zone is right there on the last lap. I mean, you might be desperate by that point as the driver. You'll be sitting there driving through 14 and 15, getting a big draft, and you're catching up, and you're like, man, I'm a superhero. I can make it happen. And then you go into that corner, and you both wreck each other, coming to the win. We've seen it happen before at this Roval-style racetrack. It's always possible. And man, this gap has shrunk. It is only 0.2 seconds. I mean, you can see it better. The 18 is getting a huge tow down the front straight. Let's see if the 18 is able to make a move going into turn 3 on the 38 car, Mark Davey.
Backs off a little bit in the middle of 1 and 2. Let's try and set up a run, perhaps, going down into turn 3. This is going to be interesting to see, as now Caggiano and Rogers are locked into a battle among themselves for 3rd position. It looks like they're fading off the top 2. But right now, it is Davey and Polansky. Again, Polansky goes wide in turn 4. That issue is still there, with wheel hopping coming through 3 and 4. So as they head down through the flat-out turn 5, down into the uphill turn 6, man, Davey is doing everything right to hold off Polansky. Because in his remember, his first win at Sonoma, he had to hold off San Donato until the lap traffic got in his way. At Indianapolis, he was unchallenged. He had that race in the bag. But here is probably going to be his most difficult win to date if he can hang on to win this one. Because he's got a superstar winner and a championship contender in that series, Jared Polansky, right behind him. And Polansky doesn't care who's in this 38 car. Both these drivers only came to this race for one purpose, and that's to win and to cement their legacies as top road course racers. And right now, coming to 2 laps to go, these guys are putting everything on the line.
Yeah, and the 18 car, I believe, is going to be close enough to maybe get a tow here. We need to see how the 18 is going to do through turns 16, 17, and 18, the front stretch chicane. We've been seeing it all day. This can make or break your entire next lap if you can get a draft coming out of this set of corners. So we'll see. Here they come through the corners. Looks like the 18... Oh, the 38 really pushed it through there. We'll see. I don't know if the 18 is going to be close enough to really catch completely up with the draft. It looks like maybe not. The 38 got a really good run out of the chicane there. So right now they've completely stabilized, and the 18 is just behind him.
Looks like, I hate to interrupt, but it looks like Ron Caggiano has hit the pit lane as well. He could not make it to the end of this race, nor has Jared Jackson in the 23 or Devin Fair in the 01. They've all tumbled down the running order. And here we've got a battle for the lead coming into turn 4. It's Polansky and Davey side by side now for the race lead. Jared Polansky's going to take it coming out of 4.
Wow, Jared Polansky with an incredible move. Just made it happen at the end of the drafting area there on the front stretch. But Mark Davey is not done with this race. Look at him on the inside. He's getting out, getting underneath.
Side by side, headed towards the S's. This is going to be a tough spot to run side by side, but they're going to make it work. Side by side through 7, 8, and 9. Mark Davey takes it back from Jared Polansky. This is an incredible race between two talented road racers, battling it out for the win. Nothing else matters to them. And we're coming to the white flag this time, and the winner of this race is still up in the air.
This is incredible. I have no idea who's going to win this thing. I mean, I thought that once Jared Polansky got by right there, he was going to drive away, but Mark Davey took it right back. And now Jared Polansky stuck in the same situation, looking at the same rear bumper of that same Ford Mustang right in front of him, and he did not get a good exit coming out of turn 13. Mark Davey is starting to pull away now.
Coming through turns 14 and 15, headed towards the front stretch chicane. The white flag is in the flagman's hands. We're only going to have one more lap to go here at Denver Motorsports Park. This is going to be close. Oh, Polansky makes a deep dive into the chicane. Coming through. It's going to cost him on corner exit, though. Coming off of turn 18. The white flag is in the air. One more time around from Denver Motorsports Park. Davey with the lead.
So as it turns out, just to kind of button things up in this race before we get to the action section of this track, it turns out that the two-stop strategy has not worked. Sam Donotto in 13th right now, and the 3-car in 22nd. That might end their championship hopes in this race. And we've seen another playoff contender, Ryan Caggiano, have to pit. Now we're going into turn 3. So this is the strategy that has played out and worked. The one-stop strategy, pitting on lap 10.
Another car to fall by the wayside. Elijah Ironhouse in the 8. He couldn't make it on fuel. He pits. That elevates Nicky Martinez back into the top 10 in this race. Up to 10th now in the 25. Wow. This is incredible racing. And we've got a couple drivers on pace to score their career best finishes in the one-up Nitro National Series. Denver Motorsports Park is always prone surprise race results, but I don't know if we ever expected anything quite like this. Down for the S's for the final time.
Yeah, you know, if these two if they get desperate enough, if they start to make contact, and they crash out of this thing, Zach Rogers is sitting there in that 42 car, right behind, just waiting, hoping, praying that he can have a shot to win this race. But right now Mark Davey is looking really, really good. We'll see. It's gonna make or break this thing. If he's, it just depends on the exit of turn 13. They're coming through turn 12 right now, and here comes turn 13. Let's see who's gonna get the better run right here. It looks like Mark Davey cut low a little bit, maybe a little bit better, but it's hard to tell. They're both so even. Mark Davey has a big gap. Let's see what happens coming through the final chicane.
Coming through 14 and 15 for the final time. Into the front stretch chicane they go. This is where many contacts have happened before. Polansky makes a deep dive into the chicane, but he overshoots. It's not going to be enough. And coming out of turn 18 for the final time, they're going to be side by side at the stripe. But the Australian native Mark Davey is going to hold on for his third win of the season here at Denver Motorsports Park. How about that? For an incredible drive from the Australian native Mark Davey to score his third career win. Zach Rogers comes on third. Keon Daly protects his points lead with fourth. Alexa Lutch in fifth. Chris Lattimore coming across the line right now gets his first career top 10 in the Nitro National Series, coming home sixth. Behind him, Sam Donotto recovered from his two-stop strategy to finish seventh ahead of Dylan Young. Nicky Martinez in ninth. And how about behind them, from last on the grid, John McFadden coming home to get his first career top 10 in the one-up Nitro National Series as well to round out the top 10, but with Alex Verjeprub just outside the top 10 and 11th. But really, this is a kudos to Mark Davey. He did everything he had to do to win this race. He executed the strategy perfectly. He held off one of the all-time greats, Jared Polansky, and his stock just went up a whole lot going into 2022 in the Superstar Series next year.
Oh, it absolutely did. I mean, that was an incredible performance. I mean, to get past with 2 laps to go and then repass the guy who was definitely faster at that point. I mean, man, oh man, what a great performance that was from Mark Davey, and a great strategy call as well. You know, we didn't know exactly which strategy was going to work going into this race. We were able to learn during the race, and we found out that the one-stop strategy was the one to beat today, and Mark Davey happened to be on it. So it was a great race. Congratulations to Mark Davey for putting on quite the show. I'm sure the fans here today have all enjoyed this one. And man, it just makes me excited. I'm so glad that the Nitro National Series is back and we're in full force in this championship, watching to see what happens at the end of this season.
So as Keon Daly extends his points lead, he'll have a week to reflect on that before the 1UP Nitro National Series returns for some short track racing at Richmond, Virginia, for the 3/4 mile oval there. We're looking forward to seeing what these Nitro National guys can do down in Richmond, Virginia. We hope you'll join us for that race as well, and we expect a lot of these guys to be contenders there as well, and maybe some new faces to grace the face of Victory Lane here in the Nitro National Series for future races to come. I'm sure we're going to look forward to that as well. So, and as Keon Daly has a bit of a moment, as does Alexa Lutchen coming to the end of this race, if you're going to have an incident, you would at least it's at the end of the race when nothing can hurt you anymore as far as the racing action. But it just goes to show now a lot can happen even after the checkered flag flies. It just goes to show anything can happen in the 1UP Nitro National Series. So, from Duke and Zach, and from myself as well, we say goodbye from Denver Motorsports Park. The road course race is complete, and after a frenetic final few laps, Mark Davey has held off one of the greats and cemented his name as perhaps one of the greats as well with a victory on the Denver Motorsports Park road course. Congratulations to him and the entire number 38 team. We'll see y'all next week at Richmond.